Hello there, friends. If you don't yet know me, I am Hannah Brooks, and I am a relationship coach for sensitive women who want a more fulfilling and happier relationship with their partner. And I wanted to talk today a little bit about give one of my answers to a really popular question, a question that I get really often from folks who really want to know how it's possible that one person in a relationship can change the relationship, can really make the relationship a lot better. A lot of people don't really believe that. And so I wanted to give one of my answers here by actually telling a story to illustrate how this could be true. One of the reasons why it's true. So, and really to summarize that before I tell the story is that our energy and our mood and our demeanor, like how we carry ourselves, how we show up, absolutely affects other people around us, right? Our energy affects how other people react and respond to us. And so the other day I was going for a walk, as I like to do, and just a little ways up the road from me are a couple different houses, right, that I was walking past. And so as I was walking, a man came out of the first house, and he he had this body posture of depression. You know, it's kind of a slumpy, kind of turned inward posture. And he had a look on his face that was kind of sour and closed off. And, you know, I saw him and totally unconsciously, my instinct was just to kind of like do the same, right? Like kind of like close in on myself. And I actually literally looked away from him, and I just turned my head and I kind of pretended like he wasn't there. Not to say I'm proud of this, but this was my instinct. This is what I did. And then a couple houses down, literally, another man comes out of his house. And he's just walking down towards his car, and he's whistling, and he's got this kind of cheerful stride. And he leans into the back of his car just as I'm walking by. And my pure instinct was to turn towards him, give him a big wave and a smile, and say hello in a cheerful voice. And again, like that was just total instinct. I wasn't thinking about interacting with either of these people in that way. It's just kind of what happened, right? Instinctively. And so I tell you that to illustrate how when we show up in a certain way, it influences the way other people react or respond to us. And so imagine like that same kind of scenario playing out in a long-term relationship. And I'm sure as a sensitive person, you recognize this when your partner's not in a great space. Your reaction or response to him is very different than when he's in a positive kind of space inside of himself, like in a different energy in himself, right? And so if we want better interactions, more positive, more loving, more all that good stuff, interactions more regularly, it obviously makes sense to show up in an energy that makes that natural, makes that kind of the other person respond in a more positive way naturally. Now, not to say that we should never show up, in a bad mood or anything like that. We're all human. We all do that. That's absolutely a valid way to be. But if it's happening all the time, obviously that's going to create a hard, very challenging dynamic in the relationship. So how do we shift our energy? Like, how do we show up in a kind of more accessible way, a way that kind of makes our partner want to move towards us instead of away from us? And my very like sort of summarizing answer is that you change how you feel, like you change how you think, right? You change how you feel and how you think. So that guy who was really kind of closed in and walled off and grumpy, who I turned away from, he was thinking really different thoughts and feeling really different feelings, right? Than the one who was walking all cheerful and I smiled at and waved at, right? They were in very different feeling and thought places inside of themselves. And that created this very different reaction from me. So when you change your thoughts, when you care for that mind and body of yours, And when you really shift how you think and feel about yourself, about your life, about the people in your life, that shift, the shift of that will show up in your energy, right? And how you are. And that, of course, will change how you move through your day, how, the actual words that you come out of your mouth will be different. Your demeanor will be different, and definitely, absolutely 100%, the way that people around you, respond to you will be different. So I talk about this a bit in my new free guide that I've made for you, the 7 phrases to deepen connection in your marriage. If you haven't gotten your hands on that, you should. It's totally free. But I talk about that, I give you all these great phrases to help you with this, connection and having the more understanding in your relationship. But I specifically talk about at the end, like how the words that we say are important. Of course, we want to choose words that work, right? But more importantly, where we're coming from, like the energy we're delivering those words with, is even more important, right? The energy that we're in when we're talking. So, the kind of like what's behind those words is what's ultimately the most important. And you know that because like when your partner speaks to you in a tone that's not, like he might say something nice, but you can tell he's not present, or like it's kind of, the words would be fine, but the tone is snappy, right? You feel that in you, and your response is maybe less good than if he's coming from a sort of better, more present, more kind place inside of himself. Okay, that was a slight side note, but so I talk about that in the guide, right? So like anger will be received really differently than, say, curiosity, right? You can say the same words coming from those 2 different places and they'll be received very differently, right? So again, communication is much more effective when we know how to come from a good place energetically, right? We know how to shift into that good, effective communication space energetically, right? So in order to help you do this, because I really want you to be able to communicate in a way that creates understanding and connection and all the things that you want, that gets you what you want in your relationship instead of what you don't want. I am actually, in addition to giving you this guide, I'm hosting a free 3-part training. And I'm calling it, just so you know what it's called, From Conflict to Connection. 10 areas communication backfires and what actually works to get what you want in love. So this training, we're really going to look at those places that communication breaks down, why the things that we normally kind of instinctively say don't often work, right? Or sometimes even cause the opposite of what we want, and what to do, what to say instead, and why that works, right? So really what we'll do is we'll dive into some of those concepts behind the words that we say, the concepts that make them so effective. Really, so that you can have the best chance at creating that, again, that understanding and connection in your relationship that those really great communication skills bring. So I hope you'll be there.